when everybody was kind of like, did he really just say that? So anyway.
Welcome back. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. This is the new microphone setup. I'm hoping that it sounds better. I'm going to try something out real quick. You guys just let me know. I'm going to mute the on-screen audio of the feed, and you guys tell me if you can still hear it. Now, if I mute that right now, can you guys still hear this lady rambling on, or can you only hear me now? This microphone is supposed to be a cardioid directional where it only points out in my direction. So you can still hear it a little bit. All right. So if I turn this down a little bit, I know that you can hear me. I'm not afraid of you hearing me. I want to know if you can hear them. Okay, so I got some people saying they can only hear me, some people saying that they can hear me and a slight echo. So I'm just trying to make sure.
What would be the most logical move for Amber's team to really utilize the 6 minutes that they have left?
6 minutes. They're not going to be able to do anything with 6 minutes.
Argument is that the statements were not about Johnny Depp, and we saw Rottenberg kind of allude to that. That it only has to do with how this affects.
So let me see if I turn this down just a hair. Now I can always switch this over, and I could plug my headphones into there, so we don't have to worry about it at all. Okay, so I guess my question is, if you can barely hear them coming from my speaker, do you now hear an echo coming from her?
What this is about, it's about the fact that after she accused him of it,
and can you guys hear me a little bit more clearly? Am I talking too much over them? Do you need me to turn me up, them down? Do you need them to go up and me down?
Can the jurors ask questions in regards to any concerns or doubts that they might have? For example, why does Amber Heard's cut present in nearly all of the photos submitted as evidence? Can that be seen as pictures being a setup?
Ooh, that's a good question. And we actually, there are I think there are a couple.
No
of
echo.
Those.
Good.
There may even
Awesome.
be one of the bedroom next to the nightstand that has one of those infinitum Nile.
Me down a little bit.
I think I am. So maybe they just had a bunch sitting around the house.
All right. How's that? Is that a little bit better?
And I hate to bring this up, but so apparently.
Now, granted, I do talk pretty loud, even though I'm right next to this thing.
You can snort cocaine with a tampon applicator. Did you see that sitting there?
I also bet you never thought that sentence would come out of your mouth ever in life.
There are a lot of things that I've tweeted and never said on television until now.
Okay, now they're back. So if I need to turn myself down a little bit more, just go ahead and let me know. Because these guys are going to be a lot quieter than the last group of people were. But do you guys like the sound of this new microphone more than the last microphone that I was using? Just to let everybody know, right before I had to close out, I hadn't even plugged anything in yet. My whole computer started to take a dump. It lost the video feed from that. It lost. My computer started going from my speaker to my laptop to my speaker to my laptop. It completely lost my microphone. It's like the entire computer was having a meltdown. Now, I wish I could actually lift this up more. I could probably. I wonder if I can push this up. I don't think it'll let me, though. Be nice to be able to push this entire thing up.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
So that I could point it downwards at me, but.
Ms. Heard's counsel has mischaracterized the record multiple times.
Do you guys need me to turn them up at all?
They've mischaracterized the testimony of police officer Sines and Haddon, who explicitly testified that they saw no signs of injury and no property damage.
Boy, their microphone sounds like shit.
They mischaracterized the testimony of Walter Hamada, who testified clearly that there was no impact on Ms. Heard's career at Aquaman 2 from anything said by Adam Waldman or Johnny Depp. And Ms. Heard's caffeine was
Is that a little bit better?
because of creative issues. They've mischaracterized the testimony of Detective Sadaga. They mischaracterized.
And they've got a bad
the testimony
echo on their
of
microphone.
You've been here. You've listened to the testimony. You know the record. Ms. Heard lied, and she lied again.
I'll turn myself down a little bit too.
She lied 6 years ago on May 27th, 2016, when she walked into court in Los Angeles.
They're echoey on their end. It's not me. That's their microphones in the courthouse.
Again, she told the world over and over again that she donated all of the $7 million divorce settlement to charity. You heard the evidence about what she donated.
Technically, they start today.
You watched her try to save her lie about that broken promise with more lies on this stand in this courtroom.
Yep.
She lied again when she told the world in her op-ed on December 18th, 2018, that she was a public figure representing domestic abuse, painting herself as a representative of abuse.
Yeah, it's them. It's like they're picking up from the speakers in the courthouse instead of a direct feed.
She's come too far. She can't back down. She's lied too many times to too many people. So when Mr. Depp finally decided to fight to clear his name by filing this lawsuit.
Yes, Ryan, did you read the title of the live?
More and more stories of more and more extreme abuse. She came up with a new accusation that Mr. Depp.
Well, that's because Amber said that she's going to write an op-ed about her after this is over.
Claims up even now. At this trial, for the very first time, she claimed
how my lawyer destroyed me in court
her 30th birthday,
and made me look like the victim.
She repeatedly about her birthday prior and never mentioned it. And at this trial, she also claimed for the very first time that Mr. Depp was hitting her all the time during the first year of their relationship, even though this first year, she had testified previously, was magic and bliss with absolutely no violence. Her story is a constantly moving target. It never stays the same. Mr. Depp owns his mistake. He owns all of them. You saw him do it
and victims don't change their story.
And powerful way. But in this trial, Ms. Heard has been confronted with her lies and the damage she has caused. And she cannot take any responsibility for what she has done. And you've seen the story, her story, it doesn't hold up. You've watched her performance on the stand. You saw her get caught in lie after lie. The time has come for those lies to come to an end. The time has come for you, the jury, to decide the truth.
That's right.
I started this trial giving you an opening statement, and I said to you that words matter. And this case is about Ms. Heard's words, the words she published in an op-ed about Mr. Depp. Ms. Heard and her attorneys have talked a lot in this trial about the First Amendment. They've talked about the importance of free speech, and we agree. I'm a lawyer. Of course I agree with that. But the First Amendment doesn't protect lies that hurt and defame people. And there's a difference.
They just started up, Wolf.
No right to tell the world that Mr. Depp physically or sexually assaulted her when that isn't true. That's not protected speech. Our U.S. Constitution doesn't protect that speech. And it is a core value of American society that you are innocent until proven guilty. There is a presumption of innocence in this country. A person's life cannot and should not be destroyed by a baseless charge and no opportunity to defend yourself. That's why Mr. Depp had to bring this claim. Ms. Heard was never going to stop calling him an abuser. The only way to clear his name was to stand up in this court where both sides are bound by the same rules of American law. A jury would be tasked, you, ladies and gentlemen, would be tasked with deciding once and for all Ms. Heard's lies could be exposed in a fair and impartial process. When Mr. Depp sued her, Ms. Heard apparently decided she needed to sue him back. And because there were no statements made by Mr. Depp on which she could base a claim, she sued him based on statements made by one of his lawyers, Adam Waldman, calling Ms. Heard's accusations of abuse a hoax. Make no mistake though, they are a hoax. Ms. Heard made up claims of abuse, and then she gave a performance where she passionately repeated those made-up claims of abuse on the stand in front of each of you. But ask yourselves, who's really the one alleging a hoax here?
I love that they have 30 minutes of time for her just to rattle on, and they've only got 6 minutes.
Ms. Heard needs you to believe that all
Their 6 minutes is going to be summed up in everything that girl said is bullshit.
She needs you to believe that the witnesses you heard from, including security professionals, former cops, medical professionals, and police officers, they're all lying, covering up for Mr. Depp. She's asking you to believe that she's the one telling the truth and that the rest of the people in Mr. Depp's life are all part of a conspiracy of silence. This case is not just about whether you believe Mr. Depp or you believe Ms. Heard. This case is about whether you believe Ms. Heard or whether you believe Mr. Depp. I believe in front of the world, Keenan Wyatt, who doesn't work for Mr. Depp, Sean Betts, a former LA Sheriff's Department, Malcolm Connolly, who worked in prisons in the UK, Starling Jenkins, a former US Marine, Travis McGivern, also another former police officer, Ben King, who worked for the Queen of England, David Kipper, Dr. David Kipper, Ms. Heard's doctor, and yes, Mr. Depp's doctor. Debbie Lloyd, a nurse.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Ms. Heard's personal nurse. Officer Sines, an LA police officer with training in domestic violence. Officer Haddon, her understudy.
It did kind of make her closing statements a little bit more compelling, though, didn't it?
Up on these signs of domestic abuse. Officer Gatlin, Brandon Patterson, who worked at Eastern Columbia Building. Kate James, Ms. Heard's former personal assistant. Tara Roberts, Alejandro Romero. He took his deposition from his car because he had to go to work.
I was Jonathan.
Telling the truth. Edward White, Mr. Depp's business manager. Laura Wasser, one of the most famous divorce lawyers in California. Morgan Knight. Beverly Leonard. Morgan Tremaine. And Kate Moss. And all the other witnesses whose stories support Mr. Depp's description of what took place. These people have nothing to gain by coming forward. They have everything to lose.
Is it true?
You have seen Mr. Waldman's statements and evidence in this case. When you look at them, you can tell that the key point Mr. Waldman was making in each of these statements was simply that Ms. Heard's accusations against Mr. Depp were lies. That's why he talks about an abuse hoax.
That's right.
Now, Ms. Heard has a burden of proof of proving that Mr. Waldman's statements are false. And that means that Ms. Heard has to do more than prove that Mr. Waldman got some details wrong. She has to prove that Mr. Waldman's statements are false in their essential meaning. In other words, she has to prove that her abuse claims are not a hoax. But as we've seen, the evidence is overwhelming that Ms. Heard's claims of abuse are false.
Absolutely.
We should also spend a bit of time talking about actual malice. It is Ms. Heard's burden to prove that Mr. Waldman's statements were made with actual malice. And actual malice means knowledge that the statements were false or reckless, and that's an important word, reckless disregard for the truth.
Participation trophy.
But here, there is clear evidence that Mr. Waldman genuinely believed that Ms. Heard had committed a hoax. You watched him give the testimony by deposition in this case. He testified about the evidence he found persuasive in numerous witnesses and the sworn depositions of the police officers who went to the penthouses that night and again saw no injuries. There is no evidence in this record, none, that Mr. Waldman acted with actual malice. He believed Mr. Depp. He believed the record. It's also important to understand that because Mr. Waldman's statements were not made by Mr. Depp, Ms. Heard needs to prove that Mr. Waldman was acting as Mr. Depp's agent. And within the scope of that agency, within the scope of the agency of the employment, when he made the statements, Mr. Waldman is a lawyer. Ms. Heard has not presented evidence that making those statements was part of Mr. Waldman's responsibilities as Mr. Depp's lawyer. There's nothing in the record. Ms. Heard is also claiming to be suffering from PTSD and claims that she has something to do with Mr. Waldman's statements. Ms. Heard wants you to believe that she suffers from PTSD because Mr. Depp purportedly abused her. But as usual, Ms. Heard is not telling the truth. As you heard from Dr. Shannon Curry, Ms. Heard does not have PTSD, and she does not act like a person with PTSD. Ms. Heard is an actress in a major film, involved in sommelier training. She just had a baby. Dr. Curry also found that Ms. Heard attempted to grossly exaggerate her symptoms during testing, which is a sign of malingering, or said differently, of Ms. Heard lying. Ms. Heard hired Dr. Don Hughes to help her with this narrative. Dr. Hughes did not catch Ms. Heard's exaggeration during testing because Dr. Hughes used an improper malingering screen test. She wasn't going to find it. One that is meant to identify an examinee's attempt to fake a severe mental illness or psychosis, not PTSD. Dr. Hughes diagnosed Ms. Heard with PTSD without administering the gold standard diagnostic test used for PTSD. She diagnosed her, think about that, she diagnosed her with PTSD before administering the test she admitted was the gold standard. 2 years after diagnosing Ms. Heard with PTSD, and shortly after Dr.
I just love how much extra time they have to do this. I just love it.
In her evaluation of Ms. Heard, but before it was disclosed, Dr. Hughes decided to administer the gold standard. Finally. Nevertheless, even after Dr. Hughes used the proper test, there were a number of deficiencies in her administration of that test. You saw them, including her failure to even follow the instructions.
You guys can hear me okay right now, right?
Unreliable. Ms. Heard's claim for monetary damages related to Mr. Waldman's statements, frankly, it's a fantasy. Ms. Heard speculates wildly that she has somehow been damaged by Mr. Waldman's statements. But in reality, Ms. Heard has not shown any damage at all that was because of or by Mr. Waldman's statements. There's evidence of
just making sure.
Negative press coverage about Ms. Heard, including press reports about her defecating in Mr. Depp's bed, cutting off his finger, and putting out a cigarette on his face. But none of that has anything to do with Mr. Waldman's statements.
Nope.
And Ms. Heard has presented no evidence, none, of any film or other project that she has lost.
Nope.
Lost because of the statements. In fact, you heard from Warner Brothers president, Walter Hamada, who explained that Ms. Heard suffered no loss, none. No loss of compensation or other adverse effect on her major film, Aquaman 2. You heard it straight from him.
She got paid, and they filmed her parts.
But for the statements from Mr. Waldman, Ms. Heard would be much more successful in her career. To form this opinion, Ms. Arnold compares Ms. Heard to actors such as Jason Momoa, the actual Aquaman,
The actual Aquaman.
Gal Gadot, and Zendaya. But as Richard Marx, who does deals every day, that's his job, not testifying here for a paycheck, does deals in Hollywood. And Doug
For actors.
Both testified that these actors are simply not comparable to Ms. Heard. After all, Jason Momoa, he was Aquaman. Chris Pine, he was Captain Kirk. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Zendaya, she's been acting since she was 13 years old on the Disney Channel.
Yep.
And she's in every single Spider-Man movie. Further, the Q scores of these actors are not at all comparable with Ms. Heard's Q scores. As Mr. Bonia testified,
First team is just sitting there going, we can't defute any of this. We've got 6 minutes. She's putting out too much. Judge, I object. She's killing us right now.
Because Ms. Arnold relies on the salaries of these comparable actors to calculate Ms. Heard's damages, Ms. Heard's claim for damages makes no sense. There's no connection.
No.
Further and more fatally for Ms. Heard's damages claim, is that there's no connection to the Waldman.
Can we just appreciate the fact that she just said fatally?
Even if you find damage,
She's like, they're dead.
To her career,
They got
you
nothing.
have to connect it to the defamatory statements. There is no connection. Mr.
Overruled. Good
that
call.
all the negative tweets that Ms. Heard has entered into evidence have no causal connection to the statements underlying Ms. Heard's counterclaims. Specifically, Ms. Heard's expert, Mr. Ron Schell, presented a flawed methodology that included picking out hashtags at random, including "Justice for Johnny Depp." What does that have to do with the Waldman statements?
Yeah. Yeah, what?
And counting accompanying tweets, even though it had nothing to do with Mr. Waldman. Ms. Heard's counterclaim is based on statements by Mr. Waldman, not Mr. Depp. Ms. Heard knows perfectly well that she hasn't suffered any damages from those statements. Buried at the bottom of articles in a mere tabloid, the Daily Mail. And the statements are substantially true, since all they do really is point out that Ms. Heard's abuse allegations are false.
Anybody know the address?
Ms. Heard's counsel argued that Ms. Heard did not write the title of the online version of the op-ed, which stated, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." It does not matter whether or not Ms. Heard wrote the title. You will recall from the court's instructions this morning that what matters is whether Ms. Heard republished the defamatory language. That instruction states in part that you should find Ms. Heard republished this article if she
This is not going well for them.
Defamatory material with the goal of achieving
Vasquez.
Stated differently, republication occurs when the speaker has affirmatively, that's important, affirmatively reiterated the statement. Ms. Heard affirmatively reiterated the statement. She posted it on her Twitter. We could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 3.
Oh, God, they're still bringing exhibits. Oh, I love it. I love it.
This is the tweet Ms. Heard sent. She retweeted the Washington Post tweet to a new audience.
Yeah, somebody call the cops. There's a murder happening right now.
And she affirmatively reiterated the statement by proudly declaring, "Today I published this op-ed in the Washington Post." She didn't quibble with the title. She said proudly, "Today I published this op-ed in the Washington Post." The title of the op-ed was prominently displayed in the tweet. That is enough for you, members of the jury, to find that Ms. Heard republished the title of the op-ed and adopted the statement as her own. She can and should be held liable and responsible for that statement. Ms. Heard tries to make something out of the fact that Mr. Waldman reported her to law enforcement in Los Angeles for perjury after her allegations of abuse were made against her.
It's because they know that they can't say anything. They only have 6 minutes. They can't rebut any of this.
Mr. Waldman believes Ms. Heard has committed perjury.
And Miss Vasquez is committing murder.
Mr. Ronborn argued that the lack of supporting evidence for Ms. Heard's allegations of horrendous...
If this was a UFC fight, the ref would have stopped it 5 minutes into her talking.
That it is shameful for you to consider the fact that she didn't document all the terrible injuries that she claims to have suffered. That is a twisted argument. First, you know, because you have seen and listened to Ms. Heard in action, that Ms. Heard is a woman who's documenting things throughout their relationship. And it is instructed that the things she chose to document had nothing to do with violence. She documented Mr. Depp sleeping. She documented lines of cocaine.
I disagree, Richie. This is necessary kill is what you would call this.
Or production company, Infinitum. Stage photographs. That's what she documented. Mr. Rottenborn's entire argument assumes that Mr. Depp, a man, should be disbelieved because despite the fact that Ms. Heard can't support her accusation.
Amber likes taking photos of abuse and
well, we have put to you, the jury,
and documenting evidence. She just needs to take her phone out and start taking photos of Camille right now.
That it didn't happen.
You're like, you see, Your Honor?
What we have put to you,
this is my
given
abuser.
how brutal and constant the abuse Ms. Heard claims, she would have had serious injuries. That's a fact. She would have had serious injuries that would have been observable in the pictures we looked at and by the witnesses we heard from, and
No
would have
doubt.
required medical attention. That's it. Ms. Heard testifies to injuries that multiple people didn't see. What you have in the end is Ms. Heard's word. Do you trust it?
No.
We are not here because Ms. Heard told the world Mr. Depp was verbally abusive. This is not about the words used by Mr. Depp.
Nope.
We are here because Ms. Heard told the world that Mr. Depp was physically and sexually abusive.
Yep.
That's what Ms. Heard was saying in the op-ed. On May 27th, exactly 6 years ago today, 2016, Ms. Heard...
Look at them looking between each other right now. They're like, can we object to any of this? Because objection doesn't count towards our time.
She renewed that
We
falsehood
can't?
in her
Shit.
op-ed, describing herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse. And she published the op-ed,
Finish her.
including the title,
Camille
claiming that she
wins.
spoke up against sexual
Flawless
violence.
megapint.
Everyone knew who she was talking about when she used those words. She was alleging physical and sexual abuse. She was not alleging emotional or psychological abuse. She was alleging physical and sexual abuse.
Yep.
Ms. Heard cannot run away from her own allegations now. You have all heard the evidence of what she alleged against Mr. Depp in 2016. And you have all heard her incredibly dramatic, over-the-top story of physical and sexual abuse. That story is a defamatory lie.
They only have 6 minutes left of closing statements, Richie.
Only to find that Mr. Depp might have touched Ms. Heard once in order to find in her favor, because that makes her a victim of abuse. But common sense should tell you that you can't pick and choose Ms. Heard's allegations. You saw her on the stand. We all did. She gave the performance of her life, telling you story after story of abuse. And not just any abuse, but extravagant, over-the-top allegations of abuse that would be truly brutal, horrific, if true. You either believe all of it, or you believe none of it. Either she's telling the truth, including in her most extreme allegations, or she's lying. Either she was raped by a bottle, or she's the sort of person who would get on the stand in this courtroom and lie to you and the world about being raped.
Well, thank you, Jester. I appreciate that.
What wouldn't she lie about? You can't find that Mr. Depp hit her once. Either he hit her countless times, or you can't believe a single word that comes out of her mouth. And what is the actual meaning of Ms. Heard's op-ed?
I feel Camille's just like, you know what? I'm going to use this whole last 32 minutes.
It's not that Mr. Depp might have hit her once. It's that she is a
Just keep playing it.
representative of domestic abuse. And by extension, Mr. Depp is a representative of abuse perpetrators. Words matter. Ms. Heard has shown you a lot of text messages from Mr. Depp with some very vivid language. As I told you at the start of this trial, Mr. Depp has a unique style of writing. He uses words I don't use. And you probably don't use either. But as you also heard during this trial, Mr. Depp writes in that way, in part because he modeled his writing on literary giants like Hunter S. Thompson. And he's got a dark sense of humor. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's who he is. And Mr. Depp owns text messages. He acknowledges that he said those things, and he said things that he shouldn't. But using bad language and colorful humor does not mean that you are a violent abuser. And ironically, as much as Ms. Heard is trying to use Mr. Depp's words against him, it is Ms. Heard who repeatedly admitted to violence. In her own words. You've heard the tapes. You've heard her admit to violence. Ms. Heard can try to distract you with text messages.
They're laughing because they disagree with something that Camille just said about the sarcastic, dark humor.
None of that is evidence of abuse. Hitting your husband is evidence of abuse. Mr. Ronborn talked about the burden of proof. Let's talk about that for a minute. Mr. Depp only has to show that it is more likely than not, that the statements in the op-ed are false, that it is more likely than not that they have a defamatory implication, that it is more likely than not that Ms. Heard designed and intended the statements to refer to Mr. Depp. And the evidence on these points is clear. Ms. Heard made these allegations 6 years ago today, May 27, 2016. She went out of her way to make them public, tipping off TMZ. When she published the op-ed, she was reminding everyone in Hollywood and the world of her abuse claims. And those claims are a lie. Consider what the true purpose of the article. Mr. Ronborn said it was to promote legislative reforms. But what was it actually? The evidence shows it was to promote Ms. Heard. It was timed to be released at the same time as Aquaman on December 21st, 2019.
Weird.
And it was timed to coincide with her announcement of her ambassadorship at the ACLU for women's rights.
Yep.
That's not a coincidence. It was designed that way.
Yes, it was.
That was not a statement about legislative reforms. This was about burnishing Ms. Heard's reputation at the expense of Mr. Depp's. It was about Ms. Heard continuing to portray herself as a heroic survivor of abuse. And on the question of actual malice, that just means whether or not Ms. Heard knew the allegations were false. Ms. Heard knows perfectly well that she wasn't abused. She has direct knowledge of that. She was in that relationship. So actual malice is easily established. You may have noticed that no one showed up for Ms. Heard in this courtroom other than her sister.
Yep. Nobody in person.
Traveled to Virginia for her was a paid expert. This is a woman who burns bridges. Her close friends don't show up for her.
And they're not her close friends anymore.
Mr. Depp's witnesses by suggesting they're all on Mr. Depp's payroll. So he doubled down on the hoax theory that everyone's just lying. First of all,
or there for their 15 minutes of fame.
Is on his payroll. Ben King isn't on his payroll. Officer Melissa Sines isn't on his payroll. Morgan Tremaine isn't on his payroll. Officer Tyler Haddon, he's not on his payroll. Beverly Leonard, Alejandro Romero, Brandon Patterson, Morgan Knight. None of those people are on his payroll. And Kate Moss.
Keep passing slips to your lawyers. They only have 6 minutes.
Not on Mr. Depp's payroll.
Which isn't even enough to cover whatever you might be writing on a post-it.
All these people are lying. Let's talk about the Boston plane. Ms. Heard wants you
Dude,
to
she has
believe
all the
that
time in the
reporting
world
you
just to
heard
talk.
is from the Boston plane flight.
Oh my God.
That's quite telling. What did Ms. Heard capture of this supposed rampage? Mr. Depp moaning in distress? That's what she chose to record.
They have 6 minutes, Eugene.
What sort of person
They only have 6
records
minutes.
something like that? What sort of person takes pictures of their husband or boyfriend or fiance who's struggling with sobriety, nodding off with ice cream dripping down his leg, his hand in his pocket, or asleep on the ground? What sort of person does that? Definitely not someone who's afraid of him. And Ms. Heard's attorney told a story of May 21 that was completely, utterly inconsistent with the testimonies of Officers Sines and Haddon, who testified clearly that they saw no signs of injury, no sign of property damage. And she told a story about how Officer Sadanaga's testimony was also wrong. She testified that the report was only required in case of a crime. Ms. Heard's attorneys tried to tell you that Mr. Depp apologized on May 22nd because he had hit Ms. Heard. Mr. Depp didn't apologize to Ms. Heard on May 22nd for hitting her. He apologized because he was leaving Ms. Heard. And this was a woman that, in spite of all her violence and all her rage, Mr. Depp, he loved her. He had been with her for years. Of course, he apologized when he finally broke it off. Ms. Bredehoff also tried to tell you that Ms. Heard did everything in her power to keep the authorities away and to not get Mr. Depp in trouble on May 21st, 2016. Take a minute and think back to what Ms. Heard did 6 days later, 6 years ago today. She walked into court with a visible mark on her face, not wearing makeup that day. She tipped off TMZ, she made it public, and she showed up on the cover of People magazine with a mark on her face. Was that protecting Mr. Depp? Or was she trying to destroy him? Mr. Ronborn asked you to consider why you're here. So why are you here? You're here because of a lie. And that was a lie that Ms. Heard repeated in the op-ed. At the start of this trial, we told you that this trial is about the
This is rough.
evidence overwhelmingly shows that Ms. Heard is an abuser and that she is a liar. She lied about Mr. Depp and took on the role of a lifetime as a public figure representing domestic abuse. What is the best evidence of that abuse? A video of Mr. Depp banging cabinets around, and text messages of Mr. Depp using bad words and dark, ugly humor, but never once admitting to abuse. Pictures of Mr. Depp sleeping.
Well, she's only got a minute or two left.
Ms. Heard herself. Ms. Heard held herself out to the world as a representative of abuse survivors everywhere, the face of the Me Too movement. This is not a Me Too situation. There are no Me Toos, just not me's. Ms. Heard does not deserve to be known as a representative of survivors of abuse. And Mr. Depp does not deserve to be known as a representative of perpetrators of abuse.
Correct.
That is what this case is about. It's not about money. It's about giving Mr. Depp his life back 6 years ago when she took it away. While you deliberate, ask yourselves why Mr. Depp would put himself through this. Expose every embarrassing detail of his life.
She sounds like she's getting kind of choked up.
If he was guilty of anything that Ms. Heard accused.
Well, Holly, that's because Depp's team still had 36 minutes left.
We implore you.
Amber's team only has
Enter
6
a writ,
minutes.
Mr. Depp. We ask you to set the record straight, that he is not the abuser she described, and that she is not the heroic survivor she portrayed. And we ask you to tell Ms. Heard that what she did was wrong.
Camille sounds like she's getting a little choked up.
Thank you, ma'am. Rebuttal closing.
Gentlemen, my lady, you will always remember this as the day that you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh, God, this guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's interesting that in both their
Start your
opening
timer.
and rebuttal closing, that you heard
Start your
Mr.
timer.
Depp's attorneys address none of Ms. Heard's witnesses. None of Ms. Heard's witnesses. They listed their own, who didn't see, who are on his payroll, weren't there behind closed doors.
She already said,
But
wasn't
they
on his
didn't
payroll.
address
You're
any
losing,
of the
Rottenborn.
witnesses. For example, Josh Drew, Rocky Pennington, Liz Mars, who were all there on May 21st, Melanie Iglesias, who covered Ms. Heard's bruises. They say that no one showed up for her. No one showed up for her, but then they say that these people aren't friends anymore. If they're not friends anymore, then why would they be doing what they would suggest are lying for her? Why would they be corroborating everything that she says? It's this simple. If you believe that Depp was abusive to Amber one time ever in any of the various forms of abuse, not only physical, verbal,
You guys know his
emotional,
lawn crimes,
psychological,
like, starting to lose it
sexual,
now.
any of the ways of abuse, then your job is very easy. And you can not only deny Mr. Depp's claim, but you can fine for Amber on her counterclaim. And it's interesting that Ms. Vasquez just changed their theory after 6 weeks. She said, oh, well, domestic abuse just means physical abuse. It's not what Mr. Depp said. It's not what Dr. Curry said. It's not what Dr. Hughes said. It's not what you know to be true. You know that the evidence that you've seen.
But she claimed physical abuse and sexual assault, not verbal abuse.
As fast as they can from those sorts of abuse because they know that he did it. Now, the suggestion that Amber's abuse allegations are a hoax is vicious and vile. Mr. Depp can say whatever he wants now, but he can't change the evidence that you've seen at the trial. The evidence shows that Ms. Heard did not commit abuse hoaxes, not about sexual violence, not about May 21st, 2016, and certainly not about
Bummer, what the fuck are you doing in the back?
Catch-all, all-purpose statement that Ms. Heard's abuse hoax, which suggests that every one of her allegations are false, that's coming to an end. The evidence shows she did not commit any of those hoaxes. The evidence shows that she was abused exactly how not only she, but her witnesses supporting her claims say that she was, and their witnesses even, who claim that Mr. Depp abused her. Ms. Vasquez talked about actual malice. Because Mr. Waldman is acting as Mr. Depp's agent, you have to look at Mr. Waldman. They're standing in the shoes of one another.
Sorry, Bomber, your microphone was giving feedback.
Mr.
I had to
Depp's
mute you.
malice is Mr. Waldman's malice. Mr. Depp's malice is Mr. Waldman's malice. He acted with actual malice when he made these statements. Now, after years and years of Mr. Depp controlling the roles that Ms. Heard took.
Doesn't matter. That was Waldman's statements. You can't tie them to Johnny.
3 months before she was sued. She had withstood Mr. Depp's attempt to have her fired from Aquaman and his own jealousy as his career went down the drain before her op-ed.
No proof that Johnny tried to get her fired from Aquaman.
Once the lawsuit against Ms. Heard was filed, his campaign that he promised to destroy her entered a new phase. And then it reached a crescendo when Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman decided to meet with the Daily Mail together and decided to plant statements that were defamatory of Ms. Heard in the spring of 2020, leading up to the UK trial. You've heard Amber and her agent, Jessica Kovacevic, talk about the impact to Amber's career.
No feedback?
She can't get hired because
No, you're
of the
fine.
negative treatment she gets. Studios like her, co-stars like her, she tests well, but she can't get opportunities because of the negativity associated with Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman. You heard Amber Heard on the stand yesterday telling
Do you see pants?
exactly
I don't
what
see
she
pants.
experienced as a result of Mr. Depp's promise to bring her global humiliation. That promise, to paraphrase Catherine Arnold,
Oh my God.
Ms. Heard's damages expert, that promise was a spark. And that promise he kept because he had told her again and again, the only way out of this is death. And when she chose a different path out of it, he decided to make that promise. He decided to throw that spark. And when Mr. Waldman became involved, that spark became a forest fire. That forest fire has continued to this day. We ask, ladies and gentlemen, that you hold Mr. Depp accountable for his actions.
60 seconds.
Stand up for victims of domestic abuse everywhere who suffer in silence.
Oh, yes. Stand up for Johnny Depp.
For the freedom of speech, the freedom to speak about your life.
Why do they keep preaching this freedom of speech? It's not on trial.
Give Amber Heard her voice back. Give Amber Heard her life back. Thank you so much for your service on this jury.
Thank you, Mr. Rottenborn. Members of the jury, this is an important case to both the plaintiff and the defendant. In order to reach a verdict, each of you must agree on that verdict. In other words, your verdict must be unanimous. The first thing you should do when you go back to the jury room is to select a presiding juror. The role of the presiding juror is to see to it that the deliberations are conducted in an orderly and businesslike
Yeah, carrying on with the forest fire argument.
In the jury room, when all the members of the jury are present,
But I
that
don't
each
know how
juror has the
fire is
opportunity to fully and fairly express his or her views. It is rarely helpful for jurors upon first entering the jury room to take a straw vote or for any juror to make an emphatic expression of his or her opinion in the case or to announce a determination to stand for a certain verdict. To do so before all jurors have had an opportunity to consult with one another and exchange views and opinions might allow your sense of pride to prevent you from retreating from an announced position, even when shown that such a position is unsound. You have a duty to consult with
I'd like to point out that I was made our jury's foreman.
If it can be done without offending your individual judgment.
I would have.
Each of you must decide the case for yourself
anything different.
only after an impartial consideration of the evidence with your fellow jurors. In the course of deliberation, a juror should not hesitate to re-examine his or her views and change his or her opinion if convinced it is an error. However, none of you should surrender your honest conviction as to the weight or effect of the evidence solely because of the opinion of your fellow jurors or for the mere purpose of returning a verdict. In the jury room, you will have the exhibits that were entered into evidence. You will also have the instructions of law that I just read to you, and you will have the verdict forms. You'll also have a laptop, and that laptop will have just 2 files on it. Deputy Lisa will set it up for you in the jury room. One is the plaintiff's files for audio and video files, and one is the defendant's files for audio and video files, and you'll be able to hear and watch those as well, the ones that were submitted to evidence. During your deliberations until you are discharged from jury service, you must not communicate with or provide any information to anyone who is not a member of this jury by any means about this case. You may not use any electronic device or media to conduct any independent research about this case, the legal or factual issues in the case, and the individuals or attorneys involved in the case. You are not permitted to consult dictionaries or reference materials, search the internet, visit websites or blogs, or use any other tools to obtain information about this case or to help you decide the case. Do not try to find out information from any source outside the testimony and the exhibits received as evidence during the trial. You will also have, I know the attorneys discussed briefly about the verdict forms. You'll have 2 sets of verdict forms, one for Mr. Depp's case and one for Ms. Heard's case, okay? Now, when you have these verdict forms, the first 3 pages of both verdict forms have each of the statements separately. Okay, so when you're going through it, you're going to look at each statement.
Trust me, nobody, I highly doubt anybody's going to be pointing out individual lines in that.
And I know yes for every question.
After being a juror myself, we got like
then that's when
similar
you go to the last page
guidance. It has to match all of these criteria,
which is for damages.
Rare
so,
is it when people will be like,
yes for all of statement.
Well, 9
1,
out of the 10 are definitely met.
You
the
could go
the
to
10th
4
one
and
is
5
like
for
shaky,
damages.
so we're just
if
gonna
find yes
say
for all of statement 1 and statement 2.
She's not guilty. It doesn't work.
You still go to
in
4
the mind.
and 5 for damages.
It doesn't work.
If you
On
say
paper,
for
yes, it
statement
sounds
1,
great.
statement
But in
2,
the mind,
and statement
your mind doesn't
3,
work that way.
You obviously go
Your
to
mind
4
is
and
like,
5 for damages.
how can these 9
if you
things
answer
be
no on
absolutely
any of the
true
pages for any of the
in
statements,
this one
don't go to 4
not
and 5.
be
Okay?
when it
So that will be for all.
correlates to the
And
rest?
when you do come to a verdict, make sure the foreperson signs it and dates it, and then just let the deputy know about that, okay? All right, now, for the tough part.
I feel bad for the
You may
deputy
remember at
because
the
they got to
beginning of
sit
this
outside
case,
that damn deliberation room the
I
whole
told
time.
you we would randomly select 4 people to be the alternates, okay? We still have 2 alternates left, and the numbers were placed in the envelope from the very beginning of the case. So let me just say before I release the alternates that I know that this trial has been a huge sacrifice. for
I'm
all of
praying
you.
that she
And I
releases
have
juror
taken,
number 5.
And you've taken
I'm
away from your
praying
life,
she releases juror number
for weeks
5.
on end here. And I know I speak for all of us associated with the case.
Based
and I
on the
wanna thank you for
DUI
your
guy's
service in this matter.
observations this whole time.
I know how hard it is to come this far and then not get a chance to deliberate, but that does not lessen the respect and admiration.
She has
that we
seemed like
have
an Amber Heard
for you.
sympathizer the entire
As an
time.
alternate, you will not deliberate, but you are still under order of this court, not to do any outside research in this case or to talk to anyone about this case at this time.
Good
And
Lord.
you're still under your oath as a juror.
How did you
That
know
is
that,
because if
Stacy?
something happens to a
Are they having thunderstorm? Oh, that's right. They're going through a huge
juror during
thunderstorm there. I wonder if
deliberations, I will
it's
call you
messing
back
up with
for
the internet
service, and you
over
will join the deliberations and they'll start
over
to
there.
Feed coming out.
be part of the jury. So you are under these restrictions and your oath until a verdict is reached. We will contact you once this has occurred, and then you'll be free from your obligations, okay?
See, this
But
whole
again,
time I
thank
kept
you
thinking
for
it
your
was me.
service, all right? So in this matter, the
Something
alternate
I noticed earlier was that you would
3 and
be
14.
fine, but the video
All right.
would freeze.
Yeah, they're
So,
going
at
through
this time,
severe thunderstorms
those
right now.
jurors are excused, and also the remaining jurors can retire now to the jury room to begin their deliberations, okay? So thank you all, okay?
Wait, she never announced which 2 are leaving. She never announced which 2 jurors are leaving.
I think
Well-
they don't tell us.
Oh, they're in an envelope. So I think they go once they are dismissed, then they go in and say these are the two jurors that are. Oh, 3 and 14. Okay.
No, I didn't hear that.
I was talking, of course I was. So she said 3 and 14. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at this. Like they must be getting hammered with rain and something. She said 3 and 14. Got it. I got it, guys. Jesus Christ.
Now I know.
Anybody else want to say? Got 68 people in here. You all want to say 3 and 14, but you don't all want to hit the like button. Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at you. You're guilty. Don't look like I'm not. You know you haven't hit it. Hit the like button.
You're locking up. You're freezing, by the way.
Are you sure it's not your internet this time?
No, I'm from your live streams on high notes. You're freezing. You're freezing.
Oh yeah.
You're freezing.
Exactly. Yeah, look at them. They're
thank the attorneys and litigants for
they were completely
and the
down.
great demeanor you've shown to my staff and to the courthouse staff and to the deputies in the sheriff's department. I really appreciate it. It means a great deal to me.
Yeah,
okay?
until everybody
and
leaves.
I also appreciate Judy because she's a rock star. Okay. So,
yeah, heck yeah, Judy the rock star.
Yes, thank you.
That's the stenographer.
Okay.
She's like,
there's no time limit for deliberation. So the critics say that they predict 0% chance. Oh wait.
All right.
Once again, Elaine has forgotten how to turn on her microphone.
Often we respectfully disagree. Agree. Completely agree.
Well, good. I'm glad on the last day we finally have an agreement.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're very grateful.
Objection hearsay.
You want to approach? Or?
Oh, sure. She wants to approach one more time. So anyway, Elaine's going to be like, hey, listen, we still had 30 seconds left. You cut us off. So here's the deal is they don't have a time limit. The predictions are 0% chance of a verdict today, about 50% chance of a verdict by Tuesday, and around 80% chance and above on Wednesday or any day after. Personally, I think somebody's being extremely modest with that. I think that they're being too cautious. I don't see it. I mean, I could see it happening by today, but most likely not. But I feel 80% or greater chance on Tuesday. Anything after, if it goes beyond Tuesday, it's a 100% chance. I have no doubt that this is not going to last beyond Tuesday.
It would be great if they all of a sudden get back there, get settled, be like, all right, first vote, everybody, and then everybody agrees and they come right back out. I mean, that would be just like an absolute slap to the face to Amber. Oh
yeah. If they were like, well, hey, jurors coming back. So here's the thing. I'm going to be monitoring this constantly because I'm going to have court TV or whoever on all the time. Because the moment they're like, oh, it sounds like the jury has come to a decision and they're going to be headed back to the courtroom in about 15 minutes, bam, stream up, and we can all watch it. Now, just to let everybody know, why did juries 3 and 14 be excused? Okay, so there's a total of 9 jurors. There was originally, 11 jurors, and only 7 are going to be part of the verdict. And that's to eliminate the possibility of bias, where you just randomly select 2 jurors and you're out. So 7 are going to be deliberating on the verdict, and that's why 3 and 14 were excused. No specific reason. They were literally just randomly drawn. Nobody wants to come back after a long weekend. The jury vote has to be unanimous. Yes. Anything else, it's a hung jury, and it actually goes to Amber Heard. But here's the thing is, so the other thing is, Johnny Depp very well might just leave at this point. I'm pretty certain Amber Heard is not going to leave because as much TV time that she can, because she knows that the jury's decision. Here, I'm gonna push this out, mute it. I'm going to keep it up on my screen, but I'm just going to remove it right now. So it's just Bomber and I. Everybody say hello to Bomber. Bomber, you looked the wrong direction. So, yep, there you go. Yeah, I'm over there. Yeah, you're over there.
My camera.
You're over there. I'm over here.
My camera's flipped. That's why.
Yeah. Welcome to. Yeah, tell me who usually mirrors their lives versus who doesn't. So, all right. So you still pointed the wrong direction. Yep, there you go. There I am. Just remember, hey, I'm to your right, Bomber. Do that.
Yeah.
Say it. Just say Toby's to my right.
Right.
Okay. Now point at Toby. There you go. That's my boy. Here's the thing. What a lot of people don't realize is that neither Amber Heard or Johnny Depp have to be present for the verdict. So everybody knows it's Johnny Depp's daughter's birthday today. He has never missed the entire day of a birthday. So I have no either A, he's having her flown in, or B, he's flying back to go be with her today. He probably also has the assumption that verdict isn't going to be passed today, so they'll most likely do it tomorrow, on Tuesday. So he really isn't going to be worried about being there or not being there. What he wanted happened. He got his voice put out there. Bomber, I'm going to go ahead and just put us both up like this. He got what he wanted. He got to tell his story. He got to be heard, and he got to expose Amber Heard out to the rest of the world the way that he's been wanting to. So I have no doubt in my mind that he's 100% gotten out of this what he wants. I don't think he cares about the verdict one way or the other, if you want to be honest. So who do we feel is going to take this? And I'm still on the fence as to, to be honest with you, I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50 because it is still a defamation trial, and it does require a 100% unanimous vote for it to go in Johnny's direction. And that's going to be extremely difficult to do, because all it takes is one person with just the slightest bit of doubt, and you cannot convince them otherwise. That's it. Jury's hung, and it goes into Amber's thing.
Now, if it's a hung...
Can you guys hear that in the background?
Slightly. Now, if it's
How
a
about
hung
now?
jury...
Oh, wait. Hold on. All I got to do is mute them. What am I doing? Okay. All right, go ahead, Bomber.
So if it's a hung jury, does that mean that, it could be a hung jury on Johnny's defamation, and they could still come back with a no on her counter?
Oh, absolutely. The hung jury could still, now she would win. She could still win the countersuit. Essentially, if Johnny Depp loses, she wins. Now, the question is, what does she win? Are they going to say, well, you won, but you're not getting any money out of your countersuit that you're trying to get? Or they could give her a little bit of it. They could, the one thing they can't do, they can't say, well, we're gonna award Miss Heard $7 million and stipulate that she has to pay that to the children's hospital. They can't do that. They essentially, all they can do is, so the jury actually decides. The jury gets to decide guilty or not guilty, and the recommendation of the monetary assessment.
Well, weren't they given two jury forms?
Yes, because one's for the suit and one's for the countersuit.
Well, that's what I mean, is if they came back no on Johnny's, that doesn't mean she automatically wins the second one. They could tell her no.
Well, yeah, because no, they can. The reason why they have to give them the countersuit is because if they say no to Johnny, then they have to determine monetary value, because she is suing for a dollar amount. So they have to have that second sheet to mark down that, yes, we're saying that she did win this and that she is correct. And this is the monetary amount that we as the jury feel is appropriate.
All right. Gotcha. I heard.
I just think it's hilarious that she has a countersuit for $100 million. That woman has never been worth $100 million in her life.
Yeah, that seems.
She's suing for $100 million versus Johnny's $50 million.
She just basically said, well, if he's going to do that, then I'm going to double it.
Yeah, I'm going to double it. And I'm sure her mindset behind this is like, well, if he's going to try to drag me through the mud, I'm going to get it. Can the jury award from $1 up to the requested amount? Essentially, it comes down to the jury has the ability to say, this is the amount that we feel fair. Any number between 0 and 100 million. Now, do you guys want to listen to some of the conversation that's going on Long Crime with the people that cover this after? Or do you guys just want to essentially ask me questions and get my opinion on it? This is kind of up to you guys at this point. I mean, I don't think that we're going to keep this live much more than another half an hour. He cannot appeal. This is not a criminal trial. This is a civil trial. Oh no. I mean, she's never made in both Aquaman the amount that Johnny's made in one movie.
Oh, hell no.
And that's the difference between the public court and the actual court. We all know that Johnny's won in the public eye. But as far as the court goes, it's hard to say. I'm more fun to talk to. Yeah, but you guys know me. I give feedback based on what other people are saying, which just like the court trial. Like you guys enjoyed watching the court trial because of my feedback based on what Rotten Born or Dolores Umbridge was saying. I am also extremely biased, so I know that pretty much everybody that's in here is a Johnny Depp supporter for the most part. I'm almost positive. I'm going to say almost positive because you never know. But I'm almost positive nobody in here is an Amber Heard sympathizer.
I have not seen any footage or anything where somebody has been like, no, I'm not a Johnny. Amber Heard, she's the true victim. I have not seen anything.
All you gotta do is hop on Twitter.
Well, yeah, and I usually try to stay away from that place.
So, well, obviously, I'm on Twitter mainly because I run Angel's Twitter account for. But I mean, it is interesting to see. I will say this about the DUI guy. Good Lord, look at all that. That right there is almost all like. Even if I hide the light, you can see how much is actually silver. Oh my God. I will say this. I went to the DUI guys live the other day, and one, I can understand he was already a little perturbed because of whatever is going on between him and Legal Bites. I don't know. And then I know that he was asked to leave the courthouse by the deputies today. I'm not getting into any of that. That's his deal. But beyond that, he just really doesn't have much of a personality. He's not charismatic whatsoever. He's very dull to listen to.
He's a better in type than on.
Yeah, he's a better in type. I mean, and to be honest with you, he's almost identical in person as he is in type. Very just kind of bland and informational. You know what I mean? Like there's no excitement behind his words on his Twitter feeds or anything. And it was no different watching his live. I was like,
oh, Jesus.
And then he kind of kept going back and forth, and griping about, he was griping about people constantly saying, going back into his live and saying, hey, they're back live again because what they were doing was they were going over the juror instructions, meaning what you can and can't bring up to the jury during your closing remarks. That's all that they were doing. It's inconsequential to us because we're going to see it when it happens. I didn't need to sit there for 2.5. I think it went on for like 3.5 more hours going over the jury instructions. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. No. What's up, Beard Laws? So it just, and I know Nita came in and she told me, hey, they're live again. Hey, Toby, they're live again. And I could have been the way he was for each person that came in and was saying it to him. He's like, yeah, I know. Read the pinned comment. Okay. I'm done talking about this. I was like, God damn, dude, why don't you relax? You have the pinned comment up there. You have moderators in your live. Let your moderators cover telling that information and you just go read what you're doing. And then he kept getting sidetracked by talking about his issues with Legal Bites. I'm like, dude, the title of your live is jury insight from day 23 of the trial. Open up your notes, read your notes, tell everybody what you saw, what you felt. Don't worry about your off-screen shit with legal bites. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Take care of that on your Twitter feed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know you don't want to get into it, but did we find out why he was not allowed to go?
I haven't researched it. And honestly, it's the same thing as drama over on High Notes with, the people that are over there bringing their TikTok shit over to that platform. It's none of my business. I don't give a shit about it. I just know that I'm not going to look into it because I don't care about it. That drama has nothing to do with the court case itself. That has to do with them and what they're experiencing outside of the court case. Whatever it is that I don't care about. That's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me. That'd be like you're angry at me because we're qualming over like a design I made, shared with you, and then you went and printed without asking me. But now we're talking about the court case, and you and I are on here bickering about that, knowing that the title of this live is the last day of the court case.
Yeah.
Right. Not saying that, guys, that hasn't happened, right?
No.
Okay. That hasn't happened. It was just a facetious example.
It's my design now.
At least not that I know of. I don't think. Yeah, no. We haven't
copyrighted it. It's mine now. Whatever.
But you guys have, Bomber, in your opinion, I don't know how much of the trial you've been watching, or anybody in the comments, you guys are welcome to spit something out if you notice something as well. Is there something that you feel was missed by, obviously, Amber, I'm not asking about Amber Heard's side because there's nothing for them to miss. We all know that they over-exaggerated things, that they pushed a narrative, they added in facts that don't exist. Is there something that you all feel that maybe Depp's team didn't catch on to that maybe they should have brought attention to during the trial that would have helped out their case even more?
Well, and I think that the one thing that I was hoping for, which they did, was someone to come in and refute that at least those two pictures that you said were two different pictures from two different times were the exact same picture with just a different coloring to them.
They did that.
And they did that. I wish that, and it's probably because of the way that they were allowed based on arguments, how they were able to present that. Because
I'm not sure I follow.
So, they had those sidebars and basically came up with an argument or a way that they could interview that guy. They couldn't bring in the whole chroma thing and color and all that stuff like that. But I wish they would have been able to, which they finally did. I did see them show it, but I wish they would have focused more on it. Was basically overlaying the two photos.
They did.
They did. They finally did. But
they finally, I was like, yes, they're finally doing it. They overlaid it and they went, blink, 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 blink. Look, same photo.
Yeah. But it was like, I wish they would have led with that and just been, that would have been, I feel, a more, a bigger mic drop. But I guess they had to kind of build the foundation of all that. And it is kind of, it's not like a court drama TV show where you could walk in and just say, did you see this man do this? Yes. And I have a picture. Boom. They can't just do that.
Essentially, now I can kind of explain why they did it the way that they did. They brought it up to put that little pea of doubt, that little pea-sized thing of doubt in the back of Amber Heard's lawyers' team, so that they would panic, that they would get their own expert out there to say, no, this wasn't true, blah, 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 and bring him out. And they're like, perfect. Now we're in the right position. Now this person has also said they are different photos. There's no way to show that they're not different photos. That there's no way to prove that they are the same exact photo. And they were like, that's what we wanted, because we've got this other expert over here, brought him in, and they were like, watch this. Whop. Oh, look at that. Every individual hair matches up. It's the same photo. It's just been changed. Tigger, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Him not being able to get money after a certain date? Does anybody know what Tigger's talking about with that? Well, I mean, they talked about her and her ex. That's one. But mainly the reason why they couldn't do anything with the way that she treats people from her past is because this trial specifically is surrounding what has happened since the op-ed and what led up to the op-ed. So it had to revolve around. I mean, now granted, they showed the way that, you know, they were trying to show that Johnny treated other people certain ways. But it really would have just been objected as no foundation because there's no way of, because it's outside of the scope. It's outside of the scope of this trial. They couldn't bring somebody else.
The only thing that I really think that was kind of interesting was, and you've touched on this, is that there was certain things that she was allowed to bring in that was like almost before their relation. Like there was stuff from 2013 where I don't think, were they even together at that point? They weren't married in 2013, but they were bringing in, you know, certain aspects of him.
Oh, wait, did they get married in 2012? 14? They got married to 2014?
Yeah, it was like the end of 2014, I thought.
Couldn't claim damages after a certain date. Oh yeah, they're trying to say that he couldn't claim damages after, I don't remember. It was something, it had to do with like the timeline of the op-ed. But I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. Besides the fact you just said, let me point out the flaw in your question as to why you're even bothering to ask this. Amber's team. Okay, now that we're done with that, okay, and we understand that they were talking out their ass their entire time. What about you found the one thing to hang on to that you thought might be true? What about anything else? Do you wish that they would have brought up more about how, since she said bruise kit, do you wish that maybe they had brought up more about a bruise kit, or brought in maybe a theatrical makeup artist to talk about
that would have
what
been
a bruise kit is for?
Well, and also, and I wonder if they tried. See, there's a lot of things that we don't know if they have tried it. Was hold on one second.
You want to talk to Toby?
Yeah, Toby's on here. You want to talk to him? No.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But if they would have tried to get was it Milani Cosmetics?
To get them to come in and be like, we didn't make that.
Yeah. This is what you showed, right? This is the makeup palette. Yeah, we didn't make that until 2017.
What was it, like 2016, wasn't it?
No, after 2017.
Yeah, well after the divorce.
Well, yeah. She just hissed at me.
Because they were only together for what, a year?
Yeah, like 16 months.
Yeah, they were married like a year and a half. There, that's your daughter right there, Bomber.
Yep. That's about right.
Yeah, the bruise kit didn't even come out when the abuse supposedly happened. Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like,
well, and there's like a lot of the pictures, like even that one where the two different photos. If you even looked at it to make it look worse, it almost looked like a zit.
Yeah.
Or you sat there and did this.
Well, and the other thing was like Botox. People were talking about like a lot of her photos were bruises from Botox. If you guys compare Amber Heard from when her and Johnny got married to what her face looks like now. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been a lot of time between 2017 and now. But even if you look at her from Aquaman to now, I mean, her body is the same, right? But her face, all the shapes are different. How has she gained fullness in her face, but nowhere else in your body? Don't get me wrong. I understand a lot of times when people lose weight or gain weight, they tend to gain it in their face and neck first. But technically, her body doesn't look any different at all. But her face looks like it's gained about 2.5 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely say that I wish that they could have brought in somebody that was with some type of makeup person, or even Milani, a representative from there,
Yeah.
And maybe even picked apart a little bit more. Yeah, and dealing with the makeup was, you know, we were saying that she put the matte lipstick on top of a busted out lip, and
oh God, yeah, and there's been lots of photos showing that she's with lip gloss on. You can see a cracked lip, like before they ever got together and since they've been together. The woman has herpes. She's got cold sores. That's herpes. The woman has herpes.
Yeah.
So that's going to cause and she always has a break in the exact same place before and after she was with Johnny.
And also they were showing during the court, somebody had, at one point had the camera on her, and then somebody grabbed it, I think on TikTok or something, and they're zoomed in and she's sitting there doing this, like picking at her lip.
Yeah. She's always picking at it. It's like a facial tick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to find, because I remember seeing an image of her before and after, and if I can find it, I'm going to pull it up on the screen here. Let's see here. Okay. Here you go. And I'm sure if this was Amber Heard, she'd say, well, I mean, it's just you know, it's because of the makeup that I've got. Hold on, I'm gonna open this up.
I mean, yes, I've seen some amazing things done with makeup to transform somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in like a particular lighting, and like straight on, you can change, you know, how the face is contoured. But you're not going to literally reshape somebody's face completely with makeup.
Like, take a look at this. She got a fuller upper lip. That doesn't happen on its own.
Yeah.
And it's not like how a lot of women do, where they go over the top of their lip line. You can tell that's not what's happening here. She's got a fuller bottom lip. Cheeks have definitely been filled out more. The bottom of her jawline, you can see her chin has definitely been pushed back and kind of smoothed. I have no doubt that this woman's had plenty of surgery or Botox or whatever you want to call it. But there's a huge difference there, and only about a difference of 3 years or so between when this photo was taken and this photo was taken. I mean, you can look at photos of me from 3 years ago. I don't look any different, you guys, outside of my facial hair. Yeah, she's dead asleep, the Swedish chef.
Well, even like her eyebrows. I mean, you can't generate an arch without having some type of
without having some sort of a lift or something, a nip tuck or something. But I mean, then again, she could have. You can kind of see on the far edge where hair looks like it might be starting to grow back. I mean, if she just let it grow back, she could create that curve. So I usually leave the eyebrows out of it. But I mean, it is what it is. You can definitely see major differences. It looks like she might have even had parts of her nose shaved because there's a slight bump there. But if you look in court, she doesn't have one. So that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Let's hear. Let's look at this. Okay. As you can see, they're still kind of going over stuff over there. So we'll go back to our thing here. We know a lot of cosplay people and how the makeup can take. Amber used makeup to make bruises and cuts on her face to make everyone feel sorry. Plus, she has had work done. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Well, and what you've touched on this, and other, you know, they alluded to basically the same thing. They couldn't come out and specifically say this, but like the rings that Johnny had on his fingers today. I mean, I noticed them big time today.
Yeah.
You get clocked in the face 2 or 3 times in anger with those on, you're going to have slices and cuts, and you're not just going to have a little spot right here.
Which is one of the things that I wanted to say. I wish they would have taken Johnny to, you know, like a set place where they could get a pig's head, you know, like a cadaver pig, and just have him on videotape punch and just immediately walk the camera right up to where he just punched the pig in the face and show this is equivalent to, like, pigs are equivalent to human skin, actually a little bit thicker. For most people that don't know, most pigs don't have to worry about snakes because snakes' fangs can't penetrate their skin. But if you hit somebody with those rings on, not only is he going to do some damage to his own hand because of the force of pressure back on his rings, it's not like he's wearing a set of brass knuckles, which will lightly float above your fingers and give you somewhere in your palm to hold on to, and that's where the force is actually happening. But those rings are going to push against his hands, possibly rip up his own hands, possibly bruise himself or do damage to the knuckles, but it's definitely going to tear flesh. It's not like his rings are all nice and rounded. It's not like he's wearing rings like this. He's wearing big, bulky, like pirate rings, those naval rings, you know, and you get hit with those, with the soft tissue, especially if she moisturizes and her skin is especially supple, it's just going to grab and just rip. There's no way that you can convince me. And then they're like, but you didn't see, and this is what I'm saying, like they were tossing Amber under the bus the same way that she was tossing her lawyers under the bus during their while they were standing up and talking to the jury during closing statements. They said, and you didn't see rings in Johnny's hand on those pictures, did you? Blah blah blah. They're always arguing that Johnny wears these great big rings, but you don't see rings on his hand in that photo or in this photo or in that photo. Your own client said that she rarely, if ever, has ever seen him without rings, and is, to her best knowledge, he is always wearing rings.
Yeah.
Don't turn around and negate what your client said. Like, your job at this point, like, I get it, man. They're probably frustrated. They're like, this bitch threw us under the bus. Gave us photos that we didn't submit. Yeah, we didn't submit them, bitch, because they would have been detrimental to your case. Sure, not a problem. Watch this shit.
Yeah.
And just let her have it.
Oh, I would have immediately, like, but I know they're supposed to be having their client's best interest at heart. But, you know, as soon as she said that, I'm sitting there going, wait, you're going to sit here and say that you submitted photos to your legal team that they didn't produce, that supposedly will clear up this matter completely, and they didn't show them?
And they didn't show them? It's just everything that came out of her mouth was such a blatant lie.
And I'm sorry, but if you supposedly, I don't care who you are and how embarrassed you are and how victimized you are, if you are basically raped with a broken liquor bottle or a liquor bottle that left broken glass in your vagina, you're gonna go to a doctor. You're gonna, and that's the thing, is that all these celebrities have their own doctor. Johnny has his own doctor that can come to him. You don't have to take the embarrassing thing of going to the hospital, going to the emergency room as a celebrity. You can call somebody in and they can make arrangements to get you into a hospital if they need to. So it just seemed very odd to me that she didn't go to the doctor for any of this.
All right, hold on. We're going to bring this up real quick. Yes, if you're asking me, that's exactly what it is. He's got a thimble on each of his middle fingers, if you notice. And which finger was it that was damaged? The middle finger. So that would not surprise me if that's why they went with that. Bomber, what time is it? 3:33. Holy crap. I have to switch out dogs. Don't worry, I'm not going to go away, but what I am going to do is I'm going to turn on the volume for this, just so until I get back from switching out the dogs and feeding the pigs, that you guys have something to kind of listen to. Bomber, if you want to give your opinion with some of the stuff, you might want to turn. Oh, you got to jump?
Yeah, I got to take the boy to work.
Okay, well, I appreciate you being here. Guys, I will be right back, and I'll bring this up, and then we can do a little bit more talking, but I do need to switch out my pigs and dogs, so we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. Bomber, again, thank you for coming. And I'll just move you out of here just so that you get the hint. And I will be right back, you guys. Here, let me turn this back up for you.
Again,
and
police
I will be
rushing toward the
right
courthouse
back.
for some reason, getting off their motorbikes, going inside. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with more on the other side. This is Law and Crime.
And of course, I bring this up, and what happens? They go to commercial break. So that was helpful for, I don't know, nobody, I guess. So, Khaleesi, you okay? Yeah, we got breaks for days. Wish they would have brought up the actual bruise kit, not a color corrector kit in the image of JD. Yeah. I do like the fact that Camille pointed out that the photo of the cocaine lines and everything like that was definitely staged. She could have pointed out more than just the ashtray. I mean, you could clean out an ashtray, don't get me wrong, but I really think that the damning evidence, one, was her own coffee cup on there, and two, the glass of beer that was showing fresh condensation on the side, but not long enough to have trickled down and created a condensation ring around the glass. Yeah, we wouldn't meta commercial in a commercial. And the lie that the supposed pallet she used to cover her bruising didn't even exist at the time. Yeah, we covered that, Jester. The pallet thing still has you cackling. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the lines photo was way too perfect. Not to mention the fact, the other thing that she should have asked is, hey, that tampon applicator, you said that he used that. So where's the residue in that to show that he had snorted anything out of that at all? You're going to tell me that there's going to be no white residue anywhere inside a matte plastic tube that most definitely static electricity on its own would have kept a powder adhered to the sides of it somewhere. I can also confirm that a ring would do more damage than she showed. Johnny still has the upper hand than her because she never went to the hospital. Oh yeah, absolutely. What did she say? What did he say about police before they went to break? I don't know. I didn't hear it. They then tried to change the story, saying it was one like Milani, but it's still not the same one. Oh yeah, but it's still not the same one. Yeah, it's nothing like the same one. I mean, the one that's in that photo. You guys want me to see if I can bring it up? At least had a fat welt with bruising and swelling. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, you don't think he would have a bill to use or even a specific tube for it? Yeah, exactly. That's so let me bring up, let's see here. So we're gonna bring this photo into play. Let me here open image in new tab, and then we're just gonna drag it over here. Just so we can point out a couple of things here. First things first, I'd like to ask this question. Why would you even bother taking this photo instead of, if you were really that concerned about, oh, I loved him and blah, 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 why take the photo? What are you proving with this photo? I can promise you, if that would have been me, my wife would have picked that up. She would have woke me up. She would have made me go undress, put me into bed, all of that. Like, that's what a caring person does. They don't take photos, and I guarantee she probably just let them stay there. Now this photo is not showing what we need to see. Oh, interesting that I can't find one that's got the, oh, there it is. Okay. Now here is a close up of the palette. Give me a second. And that right there is a close up of that palette. And I'll even try to bring that in. Oh, well, of course you're going to do that. But right there is that palette. That is the bruise kit. And somebody once said, well, actually, that just looks like a thin little piece of paper that might have some color swatches on it. I'm like, shut up. Shut up. Yeah, I don't know if that's a pocket knife. Yeah, okay. Okay. Whatever you got to say. Yeah, of course, she was trying to trap JD, saying he's going through these drug benders when he was really trying to clean himself up. Yeah. Johnny's hands would have been fucked up if he actually hit her. I feel like some of you are about 15 minutes behind on the conversation. Yeah, clean up, and I have them clean up. Yeah, of course. Like, even if I was on it, so as we all know, I just recently had surgery. If I would have had medications that caused me to be drowsy or pass out or whatever, and I was like in the middle of eating ice cream and I was just trying to get something to eat before I went to bed, and all of a sudden I passed out and I spilled my ice cream on me, my wife is not going to be like, see, he's a drug abuser. Like, it doesn't work that way. She has been. And anybody that's like, well, she's, anybody that wants to argue on behalf of Amber Heard and be like, well, she's not like that. That's not why. She wasn't in the relationship for money. She never wanted anything. Really? Then why did she date Elon Musk? Why was she with Elon Musk? Why did she have affairs with James Franco? Like, she's a virtual nobody in the world. Why does she keep attaching herself to people that are far more, have far more notoriety than she does? Well, I took another look at it. The glass wasn't straight up. It was actually upside down. It looked like it was in like a jar that has like a screw-on jar, and you can see the ridges at the bottom. Elon Musk is her daughter's father. I mean, very well could be. She had an affair with Franco to choke on. Yeah, exactly. Tears. A makeup expert would have called her out on even yes, exactly. Or you don't put color corrector over concealer. You do color corrector, then the concealer, and then you put on your, like, it makes no sense. The only way that you're going to put on color corrector over concealer is if you're trying, if you're trying to create a bruise. That's just, that's because Angel is a human being with a pure heart. Amber has no heart. Yeah, exactly. Here it is. I was waiting for this. Also, blue, she stated, cover up red. No, it's green that covers red. I don't know if blue is, I don't know of a blue color corrector. Didn't she? I thought she actually said it was green that covers the red. I could be wrong. She might have said blue. The timeline between Elon Musk and James Franco, you definitely spelled James Franco wrong. Let's see here. Let's see what we can find here. What I think is hilarious is that neither James Franco, if James Franco was such a close friend and Elon Musk was in such a great relationship with her, why did neither one of them bother to testify? It's not because they didn't want to look. It's not because they didn't want to be in the public eye. It's because nobody wants to fucking associate with this woman. So Elon dated Amber on and off between 2016 and 2018. Rumored 2016 and 2018. Wow. Wow. So they split in 2017, August of 2017. Interesting. And you know what's bad with James Franco when his own brother doesn't want anything to do with him and is a better actor? I love James Franco's brother. Not to get off topic, but yeah, I absolutely love him. Between Musk and Franco, let's see her skin tone is naturally green because she's purely envious of other successes. They're shaped differently depending upon which brand you buy. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Let's see here. I don't know about that, but you don't put color correctors above. No, absolutely you don't. Not unless you're trying to make. Not unless you're wanting people to see those colors, because it's all you put the color correctors on to even out the skin, so that when you put the concealer on, it's easier to blend that in with the rest of the skin tones. James already has sexual assault charges pending on him. Oh Jesus. Should I check? All right. Let's check this out. Let's see. James Franco breaks silence on sexual misconduct allegations. Well, that was 2021. Admits to sleeping with acting students. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Yeah. So he's in a world of shit on his own. So yeah, that's going to be the last person you want to come and testify for you anyway. She said she'd use blue to cover red. Yeah, it's green. Yeah, absolutely. Bottom line, they didn't produce any pics or reports of the damage kicks and beatings would cause and leave. Yeah, no, absolutely not. And the fact that she was like, I was wearing makeup. That's why you can't tell. Has anybody here ever had a black eye? And I mean like a real serious black eye and attempted to cover it with makeup and concealer and yeah, not the easiest thing in the world to do. I've had to do it because boxing, because of martial arts and trying to conceal it. So I didn't get in trouble at work. Doesn't work, you guys. Doesn't really work. Blue is sold in the bruise kit. Usually you have purple, yellow, green, and like either orange or yeah, you can still see it. Like, no, you barely want to touch it. Yeah. Yes, it does hurt. Getting hit in the face hurts. And like they said, what's the saying? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. What do we got here? Yes, I didn't even want to touch it, let alone wanted to cover up. Yeah, exactly. Even if you manage to cover it up, the puffiness will show through it. Yeah, exactly. So your face is still going to be oddly shaped. No mention of concussion yet. Yeah, he repeatedly slammed her head against the wall and no concussion. You guys have seen me like fall on a couch and get a concussion, and I have a pretty hard head. I had one. I'm gonna alpacas pro Johnny. Let's hear. Yes and no, you can't. You may be able to cover the color, but the swelling and bloodshot eye. Yeah, no, exactly. The best comment I've seen, she needs to share her magic ice with UFC fighters. I haven't seen that. when she's like ice ice removes bruises. And she goes, no, but it removes swelling. No, it doesn't. It reduces swelling. It's not going to remove swelling. It's easy to cover up. You wear giant bug eye sunglasses, which she never did, by the way. Yeah, exactly. Makeup company called her out because we've already talked about that, Squishy. Nothing in her head to damage or concuss. Is it over or on break? Well, it's technically on break. We're on verdict watch now, is what they call it. Here, if you guys want to see, this is what I am monitoring. I am monitoring the verdict watch. This is going to stay up on my computer all day. If at any point in time today they say, oh, it sounds like the jury is coming back with their verdict, I am immediately going to live on this broadcast. I'm going to be like Johnny Depp verdict, Johnny Depp trial conclusion, verdict conclusion or whatever, and I'll immediately go back live. So turn on the notifications, hit that little bell if you're on my YouTube, click that little bell so that you get notified whenever I end up going live again, so that you don't miss it and you can't be like, oh, I didn't know that you were live. Like, this isn't TikTok and this isn't High Notes. You guys will definitely get notified if you click the bell on my profile. So yeah, punched her repeatedly in the face with rings. Her face would be so messed up, no amount of makeup could cover that. Yeah, you're not wrong at all. Yep. So I am on verdict watch. If you guys are on the YouTube, just hit the subscribe bell. You might be able to do that on, I don't know about Twitch, but I'm pretty certain there's a way that you can get notifications whenever I submit a video or go live on Twitch. I don't know if you have to subscribe to my Twitch or what, but walk out right back in. Yeah, absolutely. Just be like, whoop, whoop. Let's see what they're saying over here.
That wanes over a period of time, and then it swells again when they're getting closer to a verdict. Give me the feel for what's happening out there.
What's the feel for what? I can't believe all these people are sitting there thinking that there's going to be a verdict today. You want my opinion? There's not going to be a verdict today.
At the front of the courthouse, they've gathered there each day after Johnny Depp leaves the courthouse. The crowd that lines the street behind the courthouse where he drives away.
How does Angle feel about this? I think she's still at 90 degrees.
The courthouse in the hope of seeing his attorneys. So they had kind of lined both sides of the sidewalk there in front of the courthouse, hoping that they would come out.
Not a problem, Deathlock.
The alpacas are there. There is a little boy dressed like a pirate there. People are
you can get notifications via email or mobile. Okay.
So this crowd of supporters for Johnny Depp,
this is a crowd of fanatics. This is not just supporters. This is fanatics. This is the equivalent of religious zealots that are outside of this courthouse.
There was a big cheer a little while ago, so I don't know if anyone actually came out of the courthouse or not. But
let's go back to something. Steve-O jumped into Tyson's fist at a celebrity roast. Did you see how his face already? Oh yeah, right then and there. Has been
going on. I've talked to a couple of them who said they will be leaving.
You just have to follow and then you'll have settings for notifications.
So if deliberations happen to go into next week, they won't be here for that. But there are still plenty of people who are local to this area.
I love them.
Who are here and they wanted to come out and show their support for Johnny Depp and wait. There are also about 5, I think, maybe 4 or 5 supporters of Amber Heard standing over there.
To me, I think they're going to have they're not going to have a decision until Tuesday. In my opinion, that's like an 85% chance.
Let me just tell you, you and I know, have been in lots of courtrooms over the years, and we typically cover criminal trials here on the Law and Crime Network.
How does Miss Toby feel about
a lot of homicide
she doesn't
cases.
Believe Amber Heard. She's not an Amber Heard. She's all for Johnny.
Case and it's a high profile case involving 2 people in Hollywood.
Yeah, bare fist, no rings. Yeah, exactly. Well, it was also Tyson, not Johnny Depp. Not that I'm saying anything about it. I'm just
happens to be
the proof that it's a punch is still a punch.
That when this was over, Judge asked Karate. I don't know if we were playing this.
Can we have those alpacas at the next meetup? Do you think there's a way I can get a hold of those people and see if they'll bring them?
A shout out to her court reporter, calling her a rock star. People clapped.
Nothing to do with Amber and JD, but you plan to have TikTok meetup.
Court reporter.
Yeah.
And then I saw Amber Heard hugging her attorneys afterwards, and then Johnny Depp got up to leave with his team, and people stood up and started saying, "We love you, Johnny."
Personally,
and
I think if it's not Tuesday, I give it a 100% chance of verdict on Wednesday. I do not see it going past Wednesday.
Too vocal about their
myself
support,
am 75
but it seemed
to
like
80%,
things loosened up a little bit today,
between 75
and they
and
just
90%
kept waving and waving, and he waved back, and there was a gentleman on the other side of the courtroom for me, and I think he said, he put his fist up in the air and said, something like, "Brother, we love you," or something like that. So, and then he started to walk out, and then there was
that's right. Steve-O just ran into it. That's right.
And everybody's, it's kind of like this bounce. They almost bounce up, like, and they're like
October,
this.
like I just said.
I've never seen anything like
21st through the 23rd.
Again, I will couch that with the fact that we typically cover murder trials. So
there you go.
It's been really something to watch.
Yeah, that is, and the critical distinction is criminal versus civil. I mean, I've covered the OJ.
Here you go. This is what a lot of people don't understand is
trial in Santa Maria, seeing him that's freakish enough. But you're right. When there's nothing more than money on the line, people tend to be, a little more human about it. And they can't help it. It's Johnny Depp. So very interesting. Hey, you got to clear this up for us. I don't know if you know any more or less than we do, but there were some cops that rushed to the courthouse there not too long ago, and there was some speculation.
Yeah, I believe so.
Case apparently does not.
No.
Any info on that?
Yeah, I poked around a little bit about that because they went right by our digs here, our tent, the Law and Crime broadcast tent. I call
broadcast
it Studio A or Tent A.
So I meant to ask you guys, do you guys like how this microphone sounds? Does this one sound a little bit better than the last one that I was using? That cheap $40 garbage that everybody else gets from like Amazon. Get Angel some alpacas, and no. What time is what really over? It's over. It's just, they're just waiting for deliberation. Thing is that the courthouse, I believe, essentially only stays active until I want to say 5:30, and then they'll release for the day if they have not come up with a verdict by 5:30. So really, they're just kind of standing by to see if they do come up with a decision within the next, we'll say, hour and a half. Let's hear. I really do hope Amber understands she loses trial. She's going to end up on the blacklist. I don't think she needs to lose the trial to be on the blacklist. I think she's going to be blacklisted. I think she's going to be blacklisted regardless, just based on, let's be honest, everybody in Hollywood is watching this. Everybody in Hollywood is watching this trial. And anybody watching Amber that works for Hollywood, okay, listen, we're talking Hollywood. They know actors and actresses. They know what a performance looks like. They definitely know what a poor performance looks like. Nobody is watching this thinking, I believe Amber Heard can act. Nobody's watching this thinking, well, it's so safe to hire Amber Heard because there's no way that she's going to bring any sort of drama or complications along with her. She's done. She's done. I don't know of anybody that's willing to hire. Yeah, and that's what everybody has to say, Mike, to be honest with you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she really doesn't have any friends in Hollywood. She doesn't have any friends. You had to look up these alpacas. They're emotional support animals. Well, I understand. Now, if I could get alpacas that literally only got that big, I'd be fine with getting an alpaca. One that's only like 5 foot tall. Sure, why not? What's it going to hurt? I mean, shaving them is going to be a bitch. I don't want to do that. You're welcome, Raven. If you guys got any other questions, or you want my opinion on something, by all means, feel free to ask me.
Yeah, that was the local guy.
Yeah, I was recording him. Wow, he has.
If she
that
starts an
video clip
OnlyFans,
somewhere.
she'll make $5.
That was something.
I
That guy
disagree.
had a lot to say, outside of
it is
jail there
Amber
in Clark
Heard.
County.
Angel has an OnlyFans.
Okay, well,
You brought it up. I had to say
at
it.
one point,
So.
she was at over
We'll get back to it
250
now, and
subscribers. She's
good
now
luck
under
with everything out
100.
there. We of course will be checking in. We appreciate the fine work from the ground.
Yeah, I have no
Thanks,
doubt
Angel.
that Amber Heard could make all the money.
You bet.
She could
Okay, we got
probably
just
make
a
more
quick
money
moment
on
before we take a
OnlyFans than
break.
she
So
ever did as an actress.
Let me slip
She
in
might
a
as well just
message.
go do that.
How about a question for Mitra?
It's not like anybody would look less upon her for making
take on how the
OnlyFans
judge is
now,
handling
to be
this kind of
honest.
loose.
Knows how to shear them? Oh, nice. No, I didn't need to, Nico. I mean, I know how to find her. I know how to find her. Do you think James Franco is willing to go anywhere near here now, especially after having him like that camera in there? He's going to step as far away from her as possible, because again, nobody in Hollywood wants to be surrounded by that drama. The fact that her sister still sticks next to her is just it's mind-blowing. Oh yeah, absolutely she could. She'd get fans, just not the ones she wants. But you know what? People would have to subscribe to even message her. So, I mean, who gives a shit? I'd love for 500 people to subscribe to Angels Only fans just to tell her how much they hate her or just hate what she's doing. Go ahead, go ahead, come and talk smack. I've got your money. You can say whatever you want. Oh, nice. Cool. I would agree. I think Whitney is deathly afraid of Amber. I mean, it's already been proven time and time again that she was deathly afraid of Amber already. And it's oh God, it's horrible. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel bad for Whitney because of what she's having to deal with and having to deal with her sister. But at the same time, I don't feel bad with her because she knows that she perjured herself on the stand. Limp and disappointing. Now, knowing her mental health doesn't make it harder for her to work with somebody or a project again. Well, to be honest with you, the only part of her mental health that I'd be concerned with, like everything she said, and I'm amazed they let her get away with it. Everything that she said at the end of her closing remarks last night, when she was like, when I'm on set and I have to do an action scene, I've got these triggers and people need to be aware and this and that, and filming's had to stop because of the emotional problems I've had from this PTSD. Hearsay. This is what constitutes hearsay. In case anybody's wondering, what constitutes hearsay isn't just a he said, she said. The reason why it's hearsay is because if you want to make this statement, you have to be able to back it up, meaning there's got to be another source besides just you to prove this statement. And she's now just said that I'm filming for Aquaman and we've had to stop filming. Stop. Hearsay. Bring somebody in from the studio that can verify that they have had to stop filming based on her mental state. On her emotional and mental well-being, that they've had to stop because it has triggered events. That's what hearsay means, is that, hey, no, stop. It's not, we don't want to hear just what's happened from your side. You have to have corroborating evidence with it, meaning there's got to be somebody else that your attorneys can call in to corroborate your story with you. If she loses, what she'll do to Johnny? Nothing. I guarantee, if I was Johnny Depp, as soon as this trial is over, win or lose, restraining order, permanent restraining order forever, a non-contact. I think her sister either has Stockholm syndrome or she knows if she's punching bag or no one else will be. It very well could be. Maybe she's just sticking with her sister because, she might have that mentality of, as long as I'm here and she beats up on me, then she's not beating up on somebody else. I mean, I've known people to do that. I've known people to have that mentality of, as long as they're beating up on me, they're not beating up on anybody else. Yeah. Amber must have been threatened by the director of Aquaman with the abuse to get a part in the movie. No, I don't believe so whatsoever. I believe, like Johnny was saying, by the time she had to audition for Aquaman, And as the guy said, she had to audition and she had to be kept on an option basis, meaning she's a trial actress because she doesn't have any clout. It's not like Jason Momoa, who they just offered a contract to. She had to fight for this. Momoa didn't have to. I guarantee Momoa did not audition for the part of Aquaman. They approached him with the script and said, "We want you to be Aquaman." He didn't audition for the part of Aquaman. Amber Heard had to audition for the part of Mira, and upon the audition, they gave her a contract, not a contract, but essentially an agreement, an options agreement that allowed them to either use her or not use her, to engage in the option that they offered her or not. She never lost the job. She never got fired from Aquaman 2. But like they said, after she auditioned, they needed to do filming in Australia. And that was after the issue with the dogs, where they were told, hey, she can't come back into Australia anymore. She's kicked out of the country. And Johnny Depp, who's also had a contract for Fantastic Beasts, who has also worked with Warner Brothers in the past, got a hold of them and contacted them, and of course, on his words, because nobody from Warner Brothers established this, but says that he got a hold of them and let them know, hey, it's not going to be a problem. I promise you, I can make sure that everything will be fine, and that she'll be able to film in the locations that you're trying to film. And they're like, okay, because they had worries about that. So to say that Johnny didn't help her get the role is bullshit. I don't believe she ever threatened anybody with abuse in order to get anything done. The way that she works is she gets herself into a position and then gets, damning evidence in her mind against somebody while she's involved with them, and then later on uses it against them. She's not going to use something from somewhere else onto somebody. She hasn't proven that she's willing to do that. How she put a restraining order on Johnny, but then while Johnny finds out, she shows up at his hotel just to break that order. Yeah. Well, wasn't it a temporary restraining order? All right. A temporary restraining order. And, the guy from TMZ, even said, like, how the jury can't, if there's somebody in the jury that can't put 2 and 2 together, right? Oh, I never submitted that to TMZ. Well, we contacted the copyright holder because it's the only person that can give us the go ahead to use this content. Is we have to verify that it is coming from the copyright holder, because they're the only ones that have the rights to submit this information. We contacted the copyright holder. We got their permission to use it. We purchased the video from them, and now it's underneath then we copyrighted it to us. The only way that they can transfer copyright is if they have shown that they have a legal purchase from the copyright holder. The copyright holder in this case is going to be whoever filmed it. Who filmed it? Amber. She's now the copyright holder. She's the only copyright holder. Unless she sold it to somebody else prior to TMZ getting it, she's the copyright holder. I don't know if he is officially cut ties with Warner Brothers, but I know that he is officially cut ties with Disney. What he has gone on public record stating, and he even admitted it in court, is that Disney, if Disney could offer him $300 million and a million alpacas, and he still would say no. Yeah, I think I might have caught Johnny like taking 1 or 2 glances up towards her at any point in time where he was like, mm. And it doesn't matter what kind of order, if you break it normally. Yeah, exactly. She's lucky. Well, I mean, let's be honest. You're talking about Hollywood and things like that. And she kept saying Jason told her she'd be Mira. Yeah, exactly. He's kept his distance since day one. He has gone on record saying that he does not want her to be in any further movies, does not want her in Aquaman 2. It has been proven that there was even by the DC head of Warner Brothers said that the whole reason while she will no longer continue her role in Aquaman is because of the chemistry conflicts between her and the rest of the cast. I mean, she didn't lose. Here's the thing. They claim that she lost money for Aquaman 2, and she didn't. She was paid for her role. They filmed her roles. It's just they're going to cut her out. That doesn't mean that her role has been purportedly cut down to 10 minutes or even down to nothing now, possibly, or completely being recasted and reshooting those roles and just CGing them in. The fact of the matter is, she got paid for that role. So she wasn't fired from anything. $100. Yeah, I just added a 0. I didn't intentionally bump the number up. I just couldn't remember the number. What's my Twitch? They call me Toby2 over on Twitch. It depends on the type of order. If they break the order, the person, yeah, but the order would be vacated and not eligible to be enforced again unless certain requirements are made. Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely not true. I don't believe that at all. Who do you think they should recast as Mira? I think somebody that Jason Momoa already has. I think somebody that Jason Momoa already has good chemistry with. Let's see here. Who has he worked with in the past that has been placed up for consideration as Mira? Oh, yeah. The girl that played Khaleesi. She's already being considered for the role. Momoa has reportedly recommended her. She's supposedly or reportedly shown interest in being cast underneath the role. So it would be interesting to see if they actually grabbed her to be the replacement. By the way, if you haven't noticed, my wife is home, so give me a second. I'm going to give her a hug. Amelia Clark, yes. Yep, Amelia Clark. Oh, shit. For a second there, I thought they were back. I was like, oh, God. Honey, a hug. You feel better? Okay, good. You know why? Because you've overworked yourself. You need to stop. Go lay down. Yep, go put that stuff away in the... Put that stuff away and then go lay down. Okay. The girl from the Terminator. That's where you recognize her from? That's the most famous place you can recognize her from? Okay, Grim, okay. Good to go. It would appear that you have, King. She is adorable, and it's been proven. I mean, we've already seen the way that those two interact. Momoa has even said that he just absolutely loved working with her on set. Obviously, she said the same thing. She was very sad when they had to split ways because Momoa's character was killed off. She was very sad when their last day of filming. That I guess they see each other regularly, I mean, just like meet up with each other because they've continued a friendship since Game of Thrones. So I could easily see Amelia Clark becoming the next Mira. I ain't seen Game of Thrones. Well, you ain't seen a fucking grammar book either. Hi there. How are you? Okay, so, well, pretty much at this point in time, guys, like I said, just kind of keep your eyes, like if you're on my Twitch right now and you want to get notified, just go ahead and check your notification settings. Make sure that you have it turned on so that you can be notified if I go live on Twitch again. If you're on the YouTube, go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so that if I do hear that they're getting ready to come back with a decision at some point in time today, you'll get notified as soon as I go live so that you know that I'm on here and we're going to be covering it. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hop off here, guys. If you want, you can continue to watch Law and Crime, or you can watch Court TV. I'm sure all of them are going to stay active, continuously covering this until the end of the court day, in the case that the jury may come back with a verdict. I don't believe that they are. I see it as a less than 10% chance for today. However, come Tuesday after the Memorial Day weekend, I do see somewhere between a 75 and 90% chance of a verdict. And if it goes beyond Tuesday, definitely, in my opinion, 100% chance on Wednesday. With that being said, if I don't see you guys again on here until that day, please remember, Memorial Day weekend is not just about going off, getting time off of work. It's not about going to the beach and partying and drinking and having a good time. It's about remembering those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for their country. So please give yourself a moment of silence. Go visit a local cemetery or graveyard. Lay a wreath down at a soldier's gravesite this weekend. Show a little bit of respect to our fallen veterans. And for any of you that are family members of fallen veterans, I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, as a 20-year veteran of the military myself, that my heart does go out to you. And I am very proud, as well as you should be, of your relatives and family members giving their life for the ultimate sacrifice for what they believed for their country. So with that being said, I love you guys. Be good to one another. And hopefully we get a verdict soon. And if they are, I'll be here to share it with you guys. So until then, justice for Johnny Depp.